I want to show you something cool about Taylor Swift and Mozart and Sabrina Carpenter. This is not your typical piano tutorial. Lots of you have asked me to talk about the Sabrina Carpenter verse in The Life of a Showgirl. Hey, I'm Bridget and I'm a singer-songwriter, composer, or music professor type. I talk about emotionality in pop music. It's fun here, follow along. Don't worry if you don't know music theory. It's more about what you hear and feel than about the language. There is a Mozart adjacent musical trick going on. Showgirl, the song, starts in G major. Her name was Kitty. I love lyrics, but I'm so harmony related that I start thinking about chords instead of lyrics. So that's Taylor's verse. It's in G major. It's very grounded and observational. We are watching the showgirl. Now Sabrina's verse, she was a menace. Suddenly we're not in G major anymore. G major is, C major is. Being in G major just means G is the most important tone. When we switch in the second verse to C major, C is the most important tone. The interesting thing is how those two keys are related to each other. It's not your typical key change. If G major is the main key, when we switch to C major is called the subdominant. Literally, subdominant is just a fancy word for below dominant. You don't need to know that. A dominant is 5 notes above the home bass, the key you're in, and a subdominant would be 5 notes below, going underneath. When Sabrina Carpenter comes in the subdominant key, we descend into the dark, dirty underground world. And I think lyrically, the story goes kind of underground. It's not so shiny and sparkly anymore. It's she was a menace. Her father whored around. Her mother took pills. Follow for part 2 to show how Mozart comes into play. Part 2 continued. What does Mozart have to do with Taylor Swift and Sabrina Carpenter in The Life of a Showgirl? Now, if you missed part 1, go back and watch it. I'm going to talk about where Mozart comes into play. There's a famous Mozart piano sonata. There are loads of them actually, but you know that one. Now, when he wrote this in the 1700s, there was a sonata form that people follow. There's a part that's called the recapitulation when you kind of come back to that main theme. Now, most of the time in the form, the play is to come back to the original key. But Mozart in this sonata came back to a different key. He came back to the subdominant. Instead of, he came back to same idea, same theme, different key. And that would have been really kind of mind-blowing in the 1700s, or at least a little disorienting. Not what you'd expect a composer to do. And remember, in the 1700s, Mozart was popular music. It's not all highbrow that we think of it now. But he still brought back that same familiar material, but emotionally it shifted a little bit, a different POV. Now, you may not have noticed at all that the Sabrina Carpenter verse is in a different key, and that's fine. Part of the production actually does a very cool trick where it drops out the instrumentation underneath, which serves as sort of a palette cleanser. Like you get a little bit farther away from the home bass. So instead of having this hammered in your head, the accompaniment drops out before Sabrina enters. So when she comes back in a different key, it's not quite so disorienting. Most listeners are not going to obviously sit there and go, oh, that's a subdominant modulation. No. Not even the classical listeners, but you feel that something has changed, something maybe got a little deeper. And it's not just because it's that standard second verse goes a little deeper. The harmony, the different chords can also change your perspective. Not just the lyrics, not just the singer. It's actually a change in harmony. Eventually I'll talk about the bridge because I love how it goes from a 4 to a 4 minor. Anyway, I get nerdy on here, but it's always fun. Stick around. Thanks for following.